Alright, a couple weeks ago, Sony cut the price of the PlayStation 3, and they released the PlayStation 3 Slimline last week. So now, of course, what Sony's trying to do is they're trying to boost sales of the PlayStation 3. They're mostly competing with the Xbox 360, so they're trying to outsell the 360. I'm going to discuss whether I think this plan will work, and I'm going to go region by region. The three main regions are going to be Japan, Europe, and North America. I'm going to save North America for last because most of my viewers are from North America, and I like to have a little bit of suspense going on. So, we're going to start with Japan, because I have the fewest viewers from Japan. I'm going to just get it out of the way. Now, Japan is Sony's home territory. It's where Sony's from, it's also where Nintendo is from. And in Japan, for whatever reason, they really like the slimline versions of consoles. The slimline PlayStation 2, the slimline DS Lite, and the slimline PSP all sold extremely well in Japan. And I'll tell you the truth, I don't think Sony even needed a price cut in Japan. They were already beating Microsoft by like 1 million consoles sold in Japan, which is a very big lead for Japan. Because Japan's not a very big video game market. I mean, I think it's bigger than any other country in Asia, as far as I know. Korea might be kinda close, but as far as I know, Japan is pretty far and away the leader. It's smaller than Europe and smaller than North America, so it's not really a big market. But it's still, I guess it's probably the third largest. But in Japan, Sony was already beating Microsoft. So in Japan, Sony's not going after Microsoft. Microsoft is already, kinda not doing too well in Japan. So really, in Japan, what we're looking at is Nintendo Wii versus PlayStation 3. And I think it'll actually be pretty close for a while here. Because some sales figures have come in from Japan, and I think the PlayStation 3 outsold, just like this last week, it sold over 100,000, actually I think almost 200,000 in Japan, which is gigantic. It outsold the Xbox by, I think, let me think. It was like 30 to 1. Yeah, I think the PlayStation 3 outsold the Xbox by either 15 to 1 or 30 to 1. Either 15 to 1 or 30 to 1. And I think it outsold the Wii by like 5 to 1 in Japan. So, I mean, Sony's kicking ass in Japan. And on top of that, Final Fantasy 13 is coming out this year in Japan. And in Japan, it's still only on the PlayStation 3 in Japan. There's not going to be a Japanese 360 version of the game. So, I mean, already the PlayStation 3 is beating the Wii, probably at least through this month. It'll probably beat the Wii through this month, maybe next month. After that, I can't predict. But when Final Fantasy 13 comes out only on the PlayStation 3 in Japan, that's going to be gigantic because that's a Japanese game. I mean, Final Fantasy is popular in the US. Its home is in Japan. And other than that, Gran Turismo 5 might launch. Gran Turismo 5 is not such a big deal in Japan, but it would help. So really, I expect the PlayStation 3 to outsell the Wii for this year in Japan. I definitely think it's a really, gigantic step for Sony, so good job on Sony. Now, going to Europe. I'm trying to speed up a tiny bit here. In Europe, I don't know what the PlayStation 3 sales were like for Europe. I know in the UK, PlayStation 3 sales jumped by like 1,000%. Like, no joke. Like 1,000% last week, sales increase for the PlayStation 3. Now, is that going to be the same in all of Europe? Probably not. Is that going to last? Probably not. And Final Fantasy 13 is multi-platform in Europe. But I still think the PlayStation 3 is probably going to beat the 360 sales-wise this year in Europe. Frankly, the Wii is incredibly popular in Europe, even more so than in the US. So I don't think it'll compete with the Wii in Europe, at least not yet. But I think it has a fair chance of beating the 360 in Europe, especially if Gran Turismo 5 comes out this year. That game is huge in Europe. So, I mean, if Gran Turismo 5 comes out, then maybe the PlayStation 3 could compete with the Wii in Europe. But then you've also got to kind of wonder, if Gran Turismo 5 comes out, where will it come out? Will it come out in Europe this year and in North America next year, or vice versa? I don't know how they release Gran Turismo. I know like Final Fantasy will start in Japan, then come to the US. I think US, then Europe. I'm not sure, but it starts in Japan. Gran Turismo might start in Europe, so it could launch in 2009 in Europe. If it does, I mean, I think PlayStation 3 would beat the 360 in Europe then. I'm not so sure about the Wii. Now, the United States of America and all of North America. Well, I'm American myself, and we are the largest video game market in the entire world. And Microsoft is an American company. So, we're the biggest market, Microsoft's home turf, and we strongly are favoring the Wii sales-wise. Now, PlayStation 3 sales did go up a fair amount. And I see the cheaper PlayStation 3 completely sold out at like Walmart, but I see the more expensive one not sold at all. So it's like, I see the cheaper ones sold out, the slim sold out, but the older ones are still here. And like none of them sell. So, frankly, I think the Wii is kind of out of reach. At least right now for Sony in North America, the Wii is completely out of reach, in my opinion. But I think the PS3 could compete with the 360. I mean, right now the 360 is definitely beating the PS3 in North America. Mostly because Microsoft is a US company. So a lot of people kind of have a bias for Microsoft. And with the price cut and with the slim, PlayStation 3 sales could definitely go up, and they have, and they definitely will continue to, in North America. And I mean, a lot of PlayStation 2s sold here too, so, there's potential, definitely. But I think the Wii is out of reach, because Nintendo's just so far ahead here. But Microsoft might be a different story. It's kind of hard for me to say. I think it'll be close, though. I think it'll be close. It kind of depends what Microsoft does. I mean, it depends on how Halo 3 ODST does, But, I mean, it could definitely be very close in North America, between Microsoft and the PlayStation 3. If Gran Turismo 5 comes out this year in North America, I think the PlayStation 3 would just edge out the 360 in North America. But now, worldwide for this year, I expect the PlayStation 3 to beat the 360. I expect it to be closer to the Wii than before. I think the Wii will still be on top. But I don't think it'll be like 3-to-1 sales like it was last year with the Wii on top. That was crazy. So, I think it'll be reasonably close between the PS3 and the Wii. I think PS3 worldwide will beat Microsoft. And, I mean, a whole lot of it hangs on does Gran Turismo 5 come out. And, of course, this could all change. If Nintendo announces a price cut on the Wii, that will completely change everything. If Microsoft price cuts the cheapest Xbox, again, which I highly doubt they'll do, but that would also change everything. Sony's not going to announce anything new at this point for price cuts. So, I mean, I'll probably do another prediction around, like, November, December. Just kind of saying what I think will happen for Christmas sales. And, that's all for now. Part of the 2U, signing off. Peace.